if this is true, and there is some kind of investigation on it, Christian Wilkins has a lawsuit. Because there's no way in hell you're going to go out there and this story's going to go out. And Adam Schefter is the one that came out with the story. So there's some kind of truth to it. If this is true, Christian Wilkins, if I was Christian Wilkins, I would absolutely drop the hammer on the Raiders. And by the way, this is the same Raider team that fired, yes, John Gruden. Remember that story? John Gruden got fired after getting a $100 million contract because he was on a list of emails, and he was one of very few names that came out on that list saying racist things. And he was really the only guy, as everybody was saying, was the only big name that came out because the NFL and obviously Schneider and all that other, I think his brother was involved on that list too.
Definitely was.
He was on a list, and there was stories coming out that he had some racist remarks in that conversation too. The problem right now is the Raiders cannot keep everything in-house. Pete Carroll's there. You would have thought you have a veteran coach that's been successful, even though Pete Carroll couldn't control Russell Wilson, and there were stories coming out that I'm sure Pete Carroll, after he decides to walk away from football totally, there'll be stories coming out that Russell Wilson was running that team and that organization because he was right. Pete Carroll's under his little nail. I just think that this is an organization that doesn't know what they're doing. They brought in a guy like Tom Brady, and he put $200 million at their own percentage of this team because they wanted to draw people to come and play for the organization. They do not know how to keep anything in-house. And now Tom Brady, who was very in-house type of player over there with the Patriots, besides the Deflategate and all the other garbage that was coming out, all the stupid things, he was very to himself, and that organization was very to himself all those years. That's why they were a Super Bowl contender every single year. This team is a debacle. If this story is true, and this story has legs, and he was the reason why it was detrimental to the team because he was kissing somebody on the forehead, I think he has a lawsuit, and I don't understand the story, and nobody's coming out with the true story. So now they're talking about him kissing a player on his forehead, and that's why they were uncomfortable and they had to get rid of him. It made no sense.
It makes no sense for the Raiders, too, especially this is a team that allowed these players to get away with so much worse.
It doesn't make sense.
Rolando McClain got drafted, then he had all those drug problems. Obviously, you talk about the Gruden lawsuit, too. Obviously, Henry Ruggs, what happened with him, too. This is an organization. I think
Did you see that Henry Ruggs was on a podcast this past week?
No, I didn't.
He apologized to the family and the families that he ruined and the people that he obviously murdered.
Yeah.
You know?
Which I believe he's that kind of guy, like you're saying.
It was a girl and a dog, right?
Right. It was a mother and a dog, and I think there was a child. I think that ended up surviving, luckily, but it was tough. And I think Ruggs, like you were saying, he's watched his best friend die when he was younger too. So I think he is genuinely like that, a good person like that. That still doesn't justify. What I'm talking about more is the Raiders' off-season process of letting them just get away with these things, drafting all these players with off-field issues. I think the second most arrests in the 21st century. Yeah, you're going to cut a guy that's a good defensive tackle in Christian Wilkins, but you drafted other young pass rushers to help around him because they kissed a teammate. What? That's ridiculous.
You would imagine. I mean, the NFLPA's already filed a grievance. I don't know how this is going to work with the cap if they're trying to get out of it. They're trying to get out of $37.2 million in guarantees. Now, we know the NFLPA's union is going through some upheaval at the moment, as we covered in the last couple of weeks. But I know for a fact, if this was baseball, Jabba, the union wouldn't be having any of this, right?
Oh, no, it would be nipped in the bud quick, yeah. It's a bad time to be filing a grievance, especially with the turmoil that they're going through with the PA right now. So maybe that's kind of the way they looked at it. Like, oh, they're in shambles. Let's try to take advantage of this if we can. But it's going to get strung out. If this is the case, we've all been in clubhouses. We all been there's a lot worse going on. Is there more to the story? I don't know. Don't know.
You think he has a lawsuit if this story comes out, and that's the reason why they decided to part ways with him because he kissed somebody on the forehead? Don't you think he has a lawsuit? I would think he has a lawsuit.
$37.2 million at least to start of guaranteed money. He should be suing for day one.
And whatever it comes to, it's more than a conversation. It's not just hey, it was Joe. No, this is there's gonna be some litigation and some contract.
Jabba, this might scare other teams to wanting to bring him in because they might think he would make other people feel uncomfortable in their locker room. I mean, this could hurt his career. Think about it.
Yeah, and it sucks because that's the day and age we live in right now, where something very harmless or whatever. Like I said, I don't know the situation. It's just what we read, right? And so it sucks because there's so many ramifications that can come from this. Not only, obviously the 37 million just to start, but like the opportunity to maybe have another job or be done. And it's a headache that probably really didn't need, and I don't know. And I read a couple of them and kind of just like skimmed through them, didn't read in depth. But who even reported it is a better question.
It's very strange. I think they're probably not telling us the whole story for sure. I think everyone has played with somebody along their playing careers. If you played sports, that was just kind of weird in the locker room.
They're a dumb organization. They're just
but
a
like
dumb
you
organization.
deal with stuff like that. That's not a reason to void a contract. I just don't. I think it's crazy. I'm sure we'll hear more about this. in the near
I root
future.
for a really dumb organization. This might be the dumbest organization out of all organizations when it comes to football. They're really dumb.